up, boys? Back with another video. Today we're doing a good old-fashioned tier list, and I'm still working on the mic and all that because I know there has to be some way I can get it clear. And I've done a bunch of certain things, but maybe I just need to use another. I'll figure it out some one way or the other. I think it's better, but it's not how I want it. So I was looking at some streams, I looked at some nerfs, I looked at everything, and I have a few things to change. But it looks like some of the things are still the same. Even after Ellie nerfs, what I've seen on the beta wise is Ellie's still pumping. I've seen some pre-patch wise, but Ellie's still good and it's doing good. So I don't know why people were talking about Ellie not being S tier. I've seen it right. Yeah, it's definitely S tier. But yeah, we're gonna switch in. I was watching Absterge and I was trying to watch for some reason anybody that's friends with Nevellin, for some reason all of a sudden I'll get randomly banned on everybody's chat and everything. Like I was watching Absterge's live stream and I'm banned on Peekaboo stream, on almost everybody that's friends with Peekaboo. I'm banned in their chat and I haven't even typed in their chat. So it's like, it's actually insane. And I can tell it's Novellin because it happened with Peekaboos, it happened with a bunch of other people. And that's just kind of what happens when, when you get in an argument or, you don't like somebody, they have friends, and especially somebody like that that just gets carried through their whole worthless life. So, you know, good, that's just how it goes. So I was watching him playing Mistweaver because I wanted to see how good Mistweaver is. And yeah, Mistweaver is still, it's good. It's A tier for sure. And I also watched some DK. I watched some Hunter. I watched some Shadow Priest, some Destro Warlock. So I've seen a good amount of classes today. And what I can say is I'm going to be switching a little bit of things up. Based on what I've seen is a lot of the classes that I put on B tier in the 3v3 category are going to be A tier. So we'll switch it a little bit up, but let's get into the video here. By the way, before I start, we always start off with if you're interested in carries or coaching or any other servers, make sure you hit me up on my personal Discord down below. Otherwise, my community one is just down below as well. Otherwise, let's get on to the video. First one, we're not going to be doing any tanks. We already kind of know this, and this is kind of the known fact. So, no tanks allowed, and what I think I might do is A plus A B, because I never use C, so I'm gonna put A plus, and then I'm gonna put like just regular A. That way I'm not, because B was there shouldn't be that many classes in B, to be honest. So this should be a little bit easier to understand. So instead of it being S tier, or we could do S plus maybe. I think this might be better, because yeah, okay, I think it is. We'll see how this one goes, and then if this doesn't go well, I'm just gonna do S plus and then S and A B. But for now, I think this is better because there's a lot of things that aren't S tier, and yeah, we're just gonna do that. So first off, we're gonna be starting with Shaman. Ellie, I'm pretty sure it's still S tier. Based off what I've seen, even after nerfs, they're still popping off. They're doing a lot of damage. They're still controlling the matchups. Now, I actually haven't watched any Ellie. I've just seen Ellie like when you face it, and it could end up being A plus, but I am 90% sure it's still S tier. It's still up there. It's still good. It's still gonna be. You're gonna see a lot of these guys, and it's kind of just how it is. Enhancement Shaman is gonna be kind of the obvious situation. It's going to be B tier. Enhancement Shaman's always it's like Sub Rogue. It either is really good or it's really bad. So it's unfortunate spot that it's in, but it is what it is. Resto Shaman is going to be A plus tier. You're going to see a lot of Resto Shamans, a lot of Disc Priest, a lot of Rust Druid, Prez Evoker, maybe even Mistweaver. All those classes, other than maybe H Priest and H Mao, you're going to see a lot of those. So definitely keep in mind, Resto Shaman's definitely getting up there. So the next one that we're going to be going with is going to be Pharaoh Druid. Now instead of Pharaoh being S tier, I'm going to be putting it at A plus tier now. After seeing some, it used to be hitting like, it used to be doing 700 to 900, or basically 700 to 800k DPS per second. Now it's doing down to like, it's calmed down a little bit to where it's doing like 600k on their actual burst, and it's went down from there. So they definitely got a little bit of tuning there, and the actual nerfs actually did end up doing something. So they're definitely still good, but they're not like as broken as they were. Same might be able to be said for Ellie though. So, um, but I've seen it and it's still doing a lot of damage. So I'd say it's still in a good spot. It's still not bad. People kind of just overreact when they get a slight nerf. Unless they get like a 20% nerf, I guarantee they'll be close to S tier or A plus. But next one that we're gonna be going with is going to be Boomy. Boomy is going to be A tier. Overall, you have CC and everything, but your damage is kind of mediocre. It's kind of like a fire mage, kinda. You do damage on your burst. The problem is people just trade on your burst, and then you're kind of just useless, spamming clones. And then in this type of meta, you have to go through two kicks, grounding, you know, stuns, incaps. You're never getting a cast off. If you're not spam cloning 9 times in a row, you're just never getting it. It's probably one of the most annoying classes to play right now, and nobody's playing it. So I doubt you'll see many of these. The next one that we're going to be going with is going to be Rogue, and we're going to go Assassination, which is going to be right now. It's probably actually I don't know where to put this. I'm going to save this actually for right now. I don't know where I want to put it. I haven't seen any. I don't know why I haven't seen any. I thought it got a big buff, but I literally haven't seen any of them. I'm gonna put it in A plus because of the buff that it got, but I haven't actually seen anybody playing it. So I don't know what happened with Assass. I don't know why nobody's playing it. But it did get a buff, but I guess just nobody's wanting. I guess I don't know what's going on with it. Sub Rogue is going to be in the spot of still S tier. You have control, you have damage, everything that you want is pretty much the best sub rogue that the best like sub rogue can get is what it is right now without making it too broken. So I wouldn't say it's like Dev Evoker level or that type of level, but it's at the point where it's like it's probably Frost DK level, maybe a little higher. But until it gets, if it even hits a 3 to 5% nerf, it's going straight down to A plus tier. But for now, you have control, you have damage. At least on your burst, you can actually kill something, and it's looking good. It's looking good for sure. So assassination, okay, yeah, we put assassin at A plus, which is fine. Outlaw rogue is going to be actually probably another B. Actually, we'll put it at A spot mainly because of the CC that you still get as an outlaw rogue. The issue is you don't have Shadow Dance anymore. So actually, what do I want to do with this? I think I'm gonna keep it at A tier. I think it still does okay damage, even in the beta. It still does damage, but again, it's not gonna be your viable spec. You're not gonna play it over Assass or Sub anytime soon. So it's okay, it's viable, but it's probably you're not gonna really see it much. The next spec that we're going to be going with is going to be DK. Frost DK is actually going to be A plus tier. After I've seen some gameplay of it, they're no longer doing, they're doing maybe 500, 600k DPS max, which is what it should be. Uh, most classes, if a class is doing over 700k DPS on their burst, it usually means they're good. So if they're going past that 700k a second mark, and it's consistent, then they're usually S tier. These guys between Feral and these classes, they're not doing those numbers. Even not Sub Rogue's not doing those numbers, but Sub Rogue's a burst class, and it's not really meant to do those type of numbers. It's meant to CC obviously on all your bursts. Sure, it's good to you want to hit big numbers, but you're not gonna consistently hit big numbers. You're gonna hit that one big eviscerate every other eviscerate or something. It's not like Dev Evoker where you literally just spam for 900k a second. So I do after the Frost DK nerf and everything all together, they're still in a really good spot, but just one slight nerf to these guys at 3 to 5%, they're going down to probably A tier. Like they're holding on for dear life. They're at a really good spot. So if they get nerfed anymore, they're going down. But if they stay where they're at, you're gonna see a lot of them. Unholy DK is gonna be in actually the same spot as Frost DK. Um, Still a lot of good damage. They're doing actually as good as Frost DK, to be honest, even after the nerfs. They're doing a lot of damage. They might not have as much burst pressure, but overall wise, they do decent damage. They're doing 600k, 650, even maybe 700k on their tops. But overall, they're doing good. They're still doing good. I don't know why everyone's acting like Unholy DK got. I mean, it probably did get butchered because it was an S tier spec, but it definitely needed the nerfs. Yeah. You're gonna see still a lot of decent amount of Unholy and Frosty Gay. So DK's in a good spot. It doesn't really need a buff and it doesn't need a nerf. It just needs to sit where it is. The next one that we're going to be going with is going to be Paladin. And Paladin, we're going to put it at low A. I don't really want to put it at B, mainly because it did end up, it's not doing terrible, obviously, and terrible in the terms of it's not unplayable like Holy Priest, but it's not anywhere good. Like it's still at the spot to where it's like after your tier deliverance, you're kind of just sitting there AFK, and that's kind of that. Your cooldowns are kind of useless. Your bops get purged instantly. Your bubbles get MD'd. Your sacks are useless. You sit full sheeps. You sit full fears. It's just an annoying class to play. The next one that we're going to be going with is Ret Paladin. Now, after further ado, it is no longer going to be put at S tier. I'm going to put it also at A tier as well. Based on what I've seen, I haven't really seen any Rets. I mean, it's funny that all the classes that I've seen in Season 4, I'm not seeing in like the next season. It's kind of weird, other than like Ellie and Evoker, obviously, and like Russell Druid and Prez. But like the DPS wise, I mean, these A plus is still really good, by the way. This is still like, they're overperforming. So they're still doing good. For the next ones here, we're going to be doing is it looks like we did Brett, we did H-Foul. We're gonna do Warrior. Fury Warrior, as far as I know, they're doing a lot of damage. I still think they're gonna be S tier, especially I still think they're gonna be doing really good. Unless they get a fat nerf out of nowhere, I still even if they do get nerfed, if it's less than 10%, I still think they're gonna be above A plus. Like they're doing really good damage. They can play with a lot of different comps. And right now, if you play with the Fury Warrior, they're popping numbers. They're doing a lot of consistency, which is good for you. So for right now, it's gonna be S tier. But again, these two can instantly go down to A plus. Just for now, I think I like them at this spot based on what I've seen so far. For the next one that we're gonna be going with is going to be Arms Warrior, which is gonna be A plus tier. It does do a good amount of damage. Obviously, it probably does need a little bit more burst damage. They made Arms Warrior into a burst reliant spec, so it needs to have actual burst damage. It needs to have burst. Like, I get it that, they want him to have a little bit of burst, but it needs to be like Shadowlands Warrior. I'm not even kidding. It's just insane. I remember playing my Arms Warrior, and I swear every time I was able to hit somebody, I have a 3 second stun, which is actually the fact that you only get a 3 second stun as a warrior kind of seems unfair. When every other class gets a 4 or 5 second plus stun, uh, the level of IQ when they're making this type of class, warrior not only has to chase, but it has to actually catch up to you and then has to chase again. And by the time they hit you, they're basically forced to kill you in 3 seconds. I don't know how that makes sense, especially when their burst is trash. But overall, Mortal Strike, everything else is fine, but I think you're not really going to see much of these. And if you do, it's just going to be an MS bot. Obviously, they're going to have some type of damage, but overall, it's not going to be, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be S tier good. Fury Warrior is going to, you're going to want to play Fury over Arms, unless you're playing a specific comp that relies around Arms Warrior. Next class that we're going to be going with is going to be Prez Evoker. Prez Evoker is going to be S tier. You're going to see a lot of Prez Evokers. In beta right now, you're probably seeing 9 times more Prez Evokers than any other class in the game. Healing-wise, especially. You're seeing a lot of Evokers right now. More than Rusted, more than every other class. There's an insane amount of these guys, and you're definitely going to see a lot of them. Dev Evoker, S tier. I'd say Dev Evoker is probably now the best DPS in the game. It's overall just doing unhealable damage, even with it nerfed. Even if it gets a fat nerf in the future, it would literally need a 10% minimum. They're doing insane numbers, like 850 to 900k DPS non-stop on their burst is insane. So if you're looking to play DPS, your top dog right now is probably going to be Dev Evoker, but you know, Fury Warrior can work, Ellie can still work, Sub-Rogue can also work. Obviously, Sub-Rogue's not going to be as fun as other classes that can just PvE, but you get the vibe. The next one that we're going to be going with is Aug. Aug's actually going to be your another B tier spec. Those are probably the only B tiers that we have. Otherwise, Aug's just a support class. It doesn't really do much damage, and it's pretty garbage. I mean, they make it into nobody wants to play a support class, especially when it doesn't do any damage, and you don't really benefit from them anymore, so it's not even worth. Next class that we're going to be going with is going to be Mistweaver, which is going to be A plus tier. It's going to be good. It's definitely not doing bad at all. It's doing really good healing. It's doing good everything, pretty much. So you're gonna see an okay amount of these. They're not. It's not gonna be maybe Prez Evoker, Disc Priest, or Wrestler level, but it can definitely compete versus Disc and Wrestle Shaman. Maybe not to the extent of 100% of the time, but they can still compete. That's all that matters. They can't have it. They have more of a. They have. It's not like it's like more of a 50-50. If the player is good playing Mistweaver, then they can win easily. Next one we're going to be going with is going to be Windwalker, which is also going to be A plus. They're doing a good amount of damage right now. They have a good amount of CDs, and their burst is pretty good. Also, their minions now can't be CC'd in any way, so they're doing full output without them being CC'd. So if you stun them, their DPSs are smacking you in the face still. So that's nice. Hunter is also going to be A tier. After I've seen it personally, I have to put it at A plus tier now. Maybe I could put it at A tier, but I honestly think it's up there. I think it's low A. So low plus A. So not low A as in A tier, it's low A plus. I saw Mez playing it. I saw who else did I say? I saw somebody else playing it. It's doing numbers. I'm seeing a lot of them on the beta. They're doing 500k to 600k DPS on the burst, which isn't, god level, but it's around everybody else's. So all these classes go from about 450k to 650. Every one of these classes does that right now, and that's why I'm putting it in that category. It still does damage. It's obviously not one-shotting off its CDs, but I think it's in a better spot than I thought it was. I thought it was terrible. I don't know if it got buffed, but they're doing good numbers. They're kind of where they need to be. I'd say like a 5% buff would just be kind of good for them, just for their burst. But otherwise, I think they're fine. I underestimated the power of MM. That was my bad. The next one, BM, also going to be A plus tier. Again, BM's always that spec that just consistently does damage. It's kind of like Affilog. They're always going to be in that spot because they always do. They're a PvE class. You sit there, you PvE max them, unless it gets nerfed, which it really hasn't. It's in a good spot. Obviously, BM Hunter, nobody really plays it because it's so easy and it's kind of a boring rotation. It's kind of just boring, personally. I honestly like it a lot because it's just a chill class that you can play. You just hump a pillar and you let your pets do all the work. You keep up stacks and you kind of just run in for a trap whenever you can. I think it's an easy spec to play and it's not bad at all. I think you're not going to really see these guys, mainly due to the fact that nobody wants to play BM Hunter. Everyone wants to play MM Hunter or Survival Hunter. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Next one that we're going to be going with is going to be Serve Hunter. This is really underperforming. I haven't seen any serves yet, not a single one. It's probably due to the fact that they die super quick and they're kind of melee. A melee hunter doesn't really sound that good. Every melee here has a big wall cooldown. Hunter has like a wall, but it's like when you're a hunter, yeah, you're like a rogue with no evasion. You could kind of see how that probably won't work out as much. So, yeah, it's definitely underperforming. You're not gonna really see much of these, and if you do, they're doing it in a, good amount of pressure, but again, they just die really quick. So, you can just do it's the reason these aren't B tier is because they're not melee, and then on top of that, they still do a lot of pressure. Serve is a melee, which is what makes it really bad in this type of meta. Imagine you have a Fury Warrior sitting on a Survival Hunter or a Dev Evoker just pumping, or any of these classes sitting on top of you, and you're not having fun at all. The next that we're going to be going with is going to be Wrestle Druid. Wrestle Druid is going to be probably, I can't decide which one's better right now, but it's going to be in between this. So healing wise, I think Wrestle Druid is better. Overall wise, I think Evoker is better. But overall, these are probably going to be your best two classes in the game. Now, the third best class that I personally think, and I think somebody else agrees with me, I don't know if it's Sidu or somebody else, I think Disc Priest is either going to be the second best healer or the third best healer. So I'm going to be putting it at S tier. Now, this might be a prediction. I don't know if it's like that in the pre-patch, but beta-wise, overall, I think it's going to be doing really good. You're going to see a lot of Disc, a lot of Prez, a lot of Wrestle Druid, a decent amount of Wrestle Sham, and Mistweaver. So, you have a lot of options to play. Obviously, your top dogs are going to be Wrestle Druid, Prez Evoker, and Disc. but I've seen Wrestler Shaman being very close in that category. It's almost, it might even be at that category. I think if it gets a small percentage of a buff, or if these get small nerfs, then this is going to be S tier. But for now, I'm going to keep it there based on what I've seen. Holy Priest is going to obviously be A tier. Um, I think it's in the same category as HPAL, just mainly because you're still able to win. It's not unwinnable, but it's not. It's just you're not gonna have a good time. This is just a fact. You're gonna every time I'm watching Naj or something, and they get an HPAL, the HPAL either rage quits or he gets a minimum of like 3-3. He may get a 4-2 randomly, but more than likely yeah, you're probably gonna lose to any Pred Evoker, any Wrestler Druid, any other class. That's how bad these two classes are right now. And the reason is Holy Priest has to be broken. Holy Priest, you either give them defensive cooldowns to be able to use, like PS or something. They don't have any defensive cooldowns for the teammates. And HPAL overall, its healing is it's so relied off burst healing. Any class that relies off the burst healing to heal, none other class in the game relies off burst healing. None, you get permanent healing with these other classes. As these two, if you don't have your burst up and you don't have cooldowns up, yeah, you're not healing through the dam. So good luck with that. Next class that we're going to be going with is Shadow Priest, and I'm actually going to be putting it at A plus tier. And it could even be said to be put at A tier, but the problem is based on what I've seen, is they're doing damage. They're doing 650, 700k DPS. Now, that's if you can get all your stuff off. So it kind of really varies depending on what comp you're facing. But I think overall you're doing, you're doing good damage. You have good CC, and overall I think it's still up there. I still think it's up there in this category. I underestimated the amount of damage and overall that you were getting because every time I'd watch somebody, you can't just base it off one lobby. You just can't. Sometimes you get a full melee lobby and you get trained down and there's nothing you can do. But when I saw him get into a double caster lobby, everybody was having fun for caster wise. Destro Warlock, I've actually watched Rookie play, and at first I was like, yeah, Destro's trash. And then in the next round that he got the free cast, he was doing a lot. He went from like doing 50% of everyone else's damage, so they were doing like 15 mil, he was doing like 5 mil, and all of a sudden he got like just bolt after bolt after bolt, and he started skyrocketing in damage. So I think Destro is also A plus tier right now. Again, these are going to be more so of low A plus. So when I put them like close to this edge, it means they're kind of, unless I say it specifically, then they're going to be low. So Destro, SP, they're still A plus, but they're low. It depends. It really depends on what you're playing. You can't just make it work with anything, and you have to play really good. Next one we're going to be going is with the DH, and based off what I've seen, it's no longer a S tier in my mind. I haven't actually seen any DHs, and I had somebody comment, they were like, yeah, DH is underperforming, it's blah blah blah. So after seeing some on the pre-patch, I think it's doing great. However, on the beta, yeah, I don't think it's doing so great. I think the HP buffs and overall, it's kind of struggling, and I don't know why that would be because DH was doing insanely good. It was a god tier class, so I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with DH right now. I, I have no idea, honestly. I don't know if you guys heard that, by the way. I was like fanning myself for a second. I don't know why I did it. The next one here, we're gonna be Frost Mage. Frost Mage is gonna be S tier. I've seen these guys randomly. The problem with this is it depends on the Frost Mage. Some Frost Mages forget that they have Ice Lance and they just don't use it. So I've seen people go from I watched Party Wobbles. He faced the Frost Mage, and the Frost Mage on his team was, he was barely doing above average of damage. And then when he was facing him, I saw him go. Everyone else was at like 2 or 3 mil. This mage was already at 10 mil, and everyone was dying. So I guess it really depends on the mage, but overall, I think you're literally just you're ice lancing the entire game, and you're kind of just pumping on your CDs. It's a very easy spec. I don't know what's going on with the spec so far, but I definitely need a nerf, and we'll see what happens with it. Next spec we're going to be going with is Arcane. Arcane's also going to be in the A tier. It's still viable, still winnable if you're really good. Overall, though, you're not going to really have a good time. These are more of the high-end classes where you can make it work if you're the best. If you're not very good, if you're an average player, you're probably not going to have that much fun. Now, maybe if you're playing lower rated, so 1800, 2100 below, Sure, you can always make it work. You can really do that with anything. But if you're talking about high-end gameplay, 2400 type, 2400 plus, you're probably going to struggle. So just keep that in mind. For the next spec here, we're going to be going with this Demo Lock. Demo Lock's also going to be A+. plus. It might be a little bit lower than others, mainly because I think it's definitely struggling on damage. The fact that you have to get all your pets out, it's really comp, bias. If you're playing a random comp, you're not gonna really have that much of a fun time. If you're playing Demo Frost Mage or Demo SP or Demo DK, something like that, you can definitely make it work. But overall, it's good. So you have control, you have CC, and you have a little bit of damage. So I don't really see what's wrong with it. And that's pretty much that. Fire Mage, we're going to also be putting at A tier. After the AoE nerf, again, I'm not seeing any of them anymore. I don't know why they didn't buff their solo target by like 10%. Like, it's funny that they'll nerf your AoE build and then they don't actually buff what needs to be buffed. It's like nerfing Secret Tech on Sub Rogue and then not buffing Shadow Strike and Eviscerate. Like, I don't know why they are so against making solo targets good, but for some reason, like I don't know. I like when Fire Mage is the meta. I hate when Frost Mage or at least Arcane and Fire Mage, they take skill to set up. Frost Mage is the one spec that I play just because it's, god tier. Like it's just the best spec always. And Fire Mage and Arcane haven't really been the meta since like Shadowlands. So, I'm hoping they get their chance to shine because I hate Frost Mage is boring. It really is. It's just a boring playstyle. And for the last spec here is going to be Affliction Warlock, which is going to be A plus tier. So we have a lot of A plus tiers. Some may be lower than others. If I didn't specifically say it's low, obviously don't go by specifically the list in the order. But you guys kind of understand what I'm going, where I'm coming from. So I'm gonna go over this list one more time, as in I'm gonna hover over it, see if I want to change anything. But this is probably gonna be what it's gonna look like at the start of the expansion. Again, we still have a little bit of time, so I'm basically doing it based off the buffs that are currently, out, the nerfs that are currently out, and based off what I personally seen. I'm not basing it off of, oh, well, they've done this, they did this, oh, look at this. You can't just base it off one game. You have to watch it. You have to learn what, maybe it's the person that's not doing it right. You can't just base it off one game or one player or one damage rotation. There's a lot of things that can come and happen. So, make sure you're looking into that. I'm obviously going to do the same because I'm doing these tier lists and I'm going to be doing them for a little bit. So, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think I should change. Otherwise, it's been X, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're getting a lot of views doing this, so clearly you guys are interested in it. So I'm going to do more. You guys will have to let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next. Because I want to do tier lists, but I need to know what you guys want to do. Do you want to see the best duo blitz comps that you can play? Do you want to see the best RBG? Just let me know what you guys want to personally see as a tier list, and I will do it. Maybe I'll do hero talents next sometime. But also, if you want to link me something on Discord, like, because I don't have specifics, let me know. For like hero talents and other, because I'm using the BFA one, so, or Dragonfly I meant. So, if you have any other questions or anything like that, make sure you hit me up. Otherwise, it's been X, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.